Look at the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. We have to start with SPY first of all, and you can see we get some continuation to the upside, but it's not what you necessarily wanted to see here totally. Now we come right back into that 580 range we mentioned yesterday, rejecting off of it and kind of just base around that zone between 578 and 580 for the remainder of the day. QQQ Nasdaq looked a lot better, I will say. You got, almost back into 493, and then we just sat there right in the middle of this range, an illiquid zone. Back and forth we go. We hit 487, we come back to 493. Surprise, surprise. You go into futures, and I think you get a little bit more clarity here, especially on the Nasdaq. And I've been very adamant about this as well. Is above 20,330, you can't be bearish on the Nasdaq. We'll go into exactly why. You get some false breakdowns, but ultimately getting back above. And the only real hold that we had was right here for around 30 minutes and then getting back above 20,330. So every sell-off was just being met with buyers. Now, the other part I want to add here is you really got no volume to the upside on the day. So you really had no sign of buyers saying, okay, we're stepping in. Enough is enough. We go look at the volume on SPY as well here on the day, and it was, piss poor, 34 million, 35 million roughly in the after hours. And this has been the story that we've been talking about. You're not getting the capability of getting that continuation because there is no volume coming in there. Yesterday we get great action, volume spikes, go figure. So that's what we've really been kind of wanting here right now. Now I do believe, you had that sell side here, and I anticipated some sell side coming into Thursday, but I do think going into Friday, it's pretty likely, in my opinion, that we try to push the top of this range. Once again, 20,500 on the Nasdaq. SPY, you can see this most likely trying to get back above 580, trying to push back above 581.7, what I'd probably be looking for here. Now, I will say here on ES, this is not ideal. This is not great action. You're still pushing back down to 58.29, bouncing. You're trying to put in a higher low. But I'm going to tell you right now, where I start to get bearish is if we start putting back below some of these massive levels here. So for instance, we start getting back below, the July highs, below 57.83. You open the door for downside back into 57.30, possibly even lower. And don't forget that these were massive supports, and they're going to be almost like a magnet pushing us back into those levels if we break down below. But until then, you have to recognize that buyers are showing up where they need to and where they have to. Now, ideally, again, to break the structure, to really get more bullish, you get back above 58.65. That's been your big pivot point here as well. It's kind of where you stalled out here as well, where we were bouncing on Monday, going into Tuesday as well, and we ultimately dropped, rejected this morning, pushed back down. So again, what we're looking at, broad market there. Now we can look at some of the equities as well, and we're going to jump back into futures, but as we look at equities, you look at Tesla, had one of your monster days. We talked about this above the 200 weekly, pushing into 254, and hopefully 264, getting very close to that range as well. And again, I want to continue to say, guys, if you are not following on Twitter, I recommend doing so. You can see I'm posting all the charts here for you as well, so you can stay in the loop of stocks I like as well. Again, obviously, I post most of my trades inside of Discord. Like, that's where I do most of my action when I'm actually trading. But I try to keep you guys updated, not leave you guys in the dark, at the very least, going over NASDAQ and ES. But what we're looking at here on ES to get bullish, to get on SPY, you need to see back above 580. You didn't see it on the day, so there's no reason to inherently get that bullish. You saw NASDAQ where it was rejecting, where it was buying off of. So all the information is there as well. The link is down below. So again, a few things here. We go back into SPY and what we're looking at specifically here, right? SPY, we know volume has been up trending throughout the week. Wednesday was our highest volume this week. Thursday, we saw a little bit of a decline. So again, not exactly what you want to see. But when we look at green versus red days, we know Wednesdays and Thursdays are typically our worst days of the week, historically over the past year. Important to understand that as well, okay? Or at least the past 6 months, give or take. And I would rather use less data for this right now because it's been a rougher 6 months than it has been a whole year. So I would understand that as well. So again, you're seeing your best move, coming back into Friday, getting a lot of that bounce as well, which is why I'm kind of looking for that type of bounce or buyers to try to show up into the end of the week. Because again, what do we know as well? Earnings kick back in next week as well. You're going to start getting Google, Apple, I think Microsoft, maybe even Meta. We'll go over those more tomorrow. But again, what we're really looking forward to here right now. And I do think getting a sell-off, a pullback here was a decent option, right? And again, at the end of the day, when you really take away all the indicators, all you're really doing here is stair-stepping to the upside. Your previous high here, you mounted. Your previous high here, you're finally mounting, retesting. It's literally doing picture perfect what it has been doing over the past few months for that bullish continuation. I mean, it's just over and over and over and over. So that's really what we're looking for here and what has me optimistic about this market right now. But I definitely think going into this coming week with what's going to happen with earnings really dictates the price action moving forward. Now, the other thing here too is the dollar. First time that we've seen in, what seems like weeks that the dollar is pulling back. Again, I want to get confirmation back below the 200 SMA and really starting to pull back, because hindsight, I'm not going to be the guy that the market's tanking and we get like a 1% bounce. Then I'm like, oh, yay, right? The dollar has tracked to the upside and you're still overall in that channel. So you don't want to claim victory too soon. You also want to see yields start to pull back. They're mounting the 200 SMA as we speak. And you go into the 30-year yield, we bring up that chart here as well. You can see that you're just sitting in that downtrend right now in the yields. You're trying to break out of this. This could become a problem, especially into the end of the year. We want to see yields move in the right direction and hopefully get more of that risk on signal when they were back down here as well. Big things that we want to see. Again, we had great action on the Nasdaq when yields were pushing back down. That's really when the market was moving at kind of its best, if you will. So things that we're looking at there right now. But again, markets are still holding up. Also, too, for everyone looking at Bitcoin, again, I do track Bitcoin. I do follow it pretty close. Again, my biggest holding in Bitcoin is actually not Bitcoin. It's Solana. But still, you're breaking out of the downtrend. You look very good. Names like MicroStrategy, everyone always asks me about Riot, Mara, these trash crypto stocks, and that's what they are. They're hot trash. If you're going long on crypto or you're bullish on Bitcoin, there's two names that you play, in my opinion: Coinbase or MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is making highs without Bitcoin. I don't know how much more bullish it could be. Coinbase looks halfway decent, trying to get back above the 200 SMA and hold. And this could be a big play as well if you start to mount back over this level right here, locally around 212. Above 212, I could see this pushing back into 232, possibly back into the highs near 260, 265. So again, keep it on your watch list. Looks decent, but again, MicroStrategy is the top dog right now. And again, the crypto that I mentioned that I have the most of, that I've been holding and I've been pretty big advocate for, is Solana. And I'm going to tell you right now, Solana's, in my opinion, on this bull run, will break $300. The chart is absolutely immaculate as well. If Ethereum was the meme coin rally starter last go around, I think Solana is that for this round of investing and what's happening with crypto. I think this thing honestly could go, and really, I don't want to get specific levels or numbers because I don't want people to be like, well, that's absolutely crazy. But crypto has a mind of its own, and a lot of these meme coins are established on the Solana chain. So again, that's why I like Solana so much and where it's at. Again, as we dive deeper into some of these equities and stocks, again, make sure you're following on Twitter because I'll probably have some of these updates on there as well. So let's get a rundown of what's happening here specifically. So we look really quickly here at what's happening on Amazon. And before I go too far, let me remind you as well, you might see me mention my indicators here as well. This is from Lux Algo, and we're working on a few more. I got Don actually cooking up a few as well from Discord, but we should have these implemented on there as well. The link is down below. Use code OD40 for 40% off your first purchase, whatever term you decide to do. But anyways, you have our scalping indicators, our volume indicators, everything in between. More stuff should be in there as well pretty soon. But I just don't use them on the daily videos because obviously it just adds clutter, and I like to keep things as clean as possible so you guys never get confused with what I'm looking at or talking about. So Amazon, we've mentioned the higher lows here on higher time frames like the daily. You look decent. Obviously, you're more bullish above 188.7, 188.9. You want to see a hold above 191. We mentioned that supply level up here that's been holding so far. What I will say, though, is Amazon looks pretty strong, looks pretty good, especially with what they're doing with the Shein and the Temu competition. Again, you want to see a mountain break out of this, and honestly, you need to see a higher high established now. We've made lower highs basically since July 8th, give or take, since we had the all-time high near $200. That's going to do a break over 194. You get that confirmation back to the upside. Looks good, but be patient. Tesla, I just mentioned it. Your target's 264, above 264, 265. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. This thing looks like an absolute wrecking ball. I mean, you break over that. You've been holding below this level for what seems like a year now. It is actually a year, last October. You break over this, you're probably pushing into 301, 302 in a hurry. And then after that, I think it's an all-time high push if you ask me. That's what I'd be looking at there as well. Jumping in a little bit further, Apple. I liked Apple a lot to the downside. If you traded it, congratulations. You actually ended up moving into target number 1 here on the day. And then you kind of bounced, as you can see as well. But right now you're getting back in this. And this is something that I've been saying. is that Apple continues to find buyers even when there's bad news. And like yesterday's news was absolutely horrendous regarding the production and the lack of demand that's happening with the iPhone right now. And maybe they're just praying, maybe investors just are praying, like I said, that they're going to figure it out with sales. But if you can hold above 230, you'll get the push into 233, then 235. But right now under 230, I'm not optimistic, not loving it. Looking at Meta as well, I posted this on Twitter. You can go check it out for more information. But again, this was your major level around 569. Getting back above that's really nice. You also bounced where you needed to at 562.5. If Meta can start reestablishing this high here and also make that double bottom with confirmation, you're pushing for 574 with ease, in my opinion. We go into Microsoft as well. Again, looks decent, kind of just basing right here as well. To go short, we wanted to see a break below 520 or 422.5. You obviously never broke down below that. That's bad. You wanted to see a break below it. You did not. You would have pushed instantly down to 419. So in my opinion, if you get above 425.8, it's a long, and you're looking for a push back into 429, 428.5, maybe even 430. Just trail those stops, trade it like you want. But that's what I'd be looking for there specifically. We go into CrowdStrike as well. CrowdStrike below 200 SMA. You can't do much. Be careful there. Chinese names. I think Chinese names are more opportunistic. I'm looking longer dated with these. Again, the risk is the illiquidity back to the downside. But again, you have to have a lot of time on Chinese names. Pinduoduo as well, one of the big Chinese names I like. But for Pinduoduo, I'm not buying until you get above 153. I don't care about buying any dip on Pinduoduo until you mount 153, and then it's a hammer, and the thing could go absolutely bonkers. So make sure you're watching that one as well. Netflix, I don't care too much about it either. Not going to go over it. ARM, another really interesting name here as you come back down into support near 136. Roughly, right? So your 136 level was back down around here. This is what you're looking for, as you can see where this level stemmed from back here. As you get into 136, it's a buying opportunity, and the 200 SMA. Again, I'd have some time on these, but ARM has been moving very good. Again, semiconductors, this is what I mentioned yesterday, is you needed semiconductors to get back involved, and you needed LRCX to help you. Well, obviously, that didn't help you all in the day, because you actually had that dip yesterday. We kind of opened up here. We had a dip, and then we basically just tracked back up and end of the day break even, give or take. So we need to see semiconductors get back above 256. Above 256, you look good. And that's where you're really looking for the explosion there on semiconductors specifically. But the king of all stocks, NVIDIA. NVIDIA remounts 140.8 to 141. I was waiting for this long all day. You just never got it. You're making higher lows here as well. I love it. Above 141, 140.8. It's a hammer. You go into 141.8. You have the gap fill up here, then all-time highs. Trail your stops. Do what you got to do, but that looks absolutely gorgeous the more and more I look at it. But again, very big fan there as well. So make sure you're tracking all this and what I'm really trying to look for. Also, too, guys, I want to give a shout out. I'm going to put the link down below. I don't know how often I'm going to keep this link in there. But again, we started the free Discord as well. Obviously, I'm not posting in there every day. We'll occasionally go live at the end of the day, maybe at night, talk about the market, what things we're looking at. Maybe we'll go over cryptos. It's really just a place where we can kind of conversate. But the thing is about building the community on top of itself. So don't expect, signals or anything along those lines. It's just us talking, BSing about stocks here and there. And again, just respect everyone, and we should be fine. But the link will be down below today. So tap in if you're interested and you do want to support the community and kind of see everything that's going to be coming out very soon, because we have a lot of new stuff that will be coming out here on the platform and on option drops very soon. And then again, on Twitter, guys, I say this so much, but again, make sure you're paying attention, guys. If you have questions, make sure you take advantage. Yesterday, obviously, I did some chart request. If you guys don't want a chart request, that's cool. I don't mind. But I like to keep you guys as engaged as possible. This guy had a bad attitude, said not falling for this bait. Again, don't mention dog shit stocks, and maybe I'll actually go over it. If you talk about, a penny stock, I'm probably not going to go over it. Just because you don't have any brain cells doesn't mean I want to subside myself to having equal amount of no brain cells, right? So congratulations to yourself if you're just a ding dong, and yeah. But obviously, too, I'm not going to be able to go over everyone's stocks. I'll try to keep coming back and go over new ones as often as possible. The market looks good. And the last thing I didn't cover here today, guys, was actually the Dow. The Dow, I've been doing a lot of charting here specifically on the Dow. And I will say if you're trading futures, the Dow has been awesome. It's been tracking every level. But the Dow continues to break down, and it seems very, very, very weak. You're getting back below 43K, which is a huge problem. You pushed all the way down to 42,425. Another huge issue there. You're making lower lows and lower highs nonstop. It's important to understand that ES pushing into all-time highs was because of how the Dow was moving. that's stalling out. If the Dow starts to bounce, get back above 42,700, I think you'll push back into 42.9 and possibly even 43K. And that could be very good for ES and SPY pushing back into all-time highs. So make sure you're tracking it. Obviously, SPY looks much better than the Dow, but the Dow has me a little bit concerned in the short term as well. Follow for more content. If you have questions, make sure you ask down below. Have a good one, traders. Trade safe. Don't degen. The works. Take responsibility. Take some accountability for your trading. I'll see you tomorrow.